wonder murmur where whispers weave the heart.
Hello, little hearts. A new whisper begins. In a quiet, sun-drenched jungle, where the air was thick with the scent of wild blossoms and the quiet buzz of 1,000 bees, a terrible fear had taken root. For in this jungle, a cruel and cunning tiger named Shere Khan roamed, and his greatest prey was not a deer or a buffalo, but a small, helpless human child. One evening, a father wolf, his heart filled with a terrible regret, found the child he had lost. The human baby, a tiny, helpless thing, was crying in a thicket of bushes. The wolf, instead of seeing a meal, saw a child in danger. He brought the baby home, and his family, filled with a great compassion, took him in. They named him Mowgli, and he became their son, their little brother. But Shere Khan, who had stolen the baby from the human village, saw his prey escape. He swore that one day he would have Mowgli. Mowgli grew up with his wolf siblings, a blur of fur and laughter and wild games. The jungle was his home, and its creatures were his family. His mother wolf loved him as her own, and his father wolf taught him the quiet wisdom of the hunt. But they knew the boy was different. He was smart in a way they were not. So the wise wolf Akela and the other elders of the jungle gathered. "Human babies are very smart," Akela declared. "He will need to be raised as a jungle boy. We must teach him the law of the jungle so he can protect himself." He chose 2 of the most trusted animals to be Mowgli's teachers and protectors. The first was Baloo, a great kind bear with a voice as deep as the earth. Baloo taught Mowgli the most important lessons: how to find honey and nuts in the trees, how to understand the quiet language of the jungle, and how to sing its happy, wordless songs. The second was Bagheera, a fierce and elegant black panther, who was as protective as a mother and as loyal as a friend. Bagheera taught Mowgli how to run silently, how to swim the deepest rivers, and most importantly, how to spot the traps that humans set for the animals. Years passed, and Mowgli grew into a strong, brave young man. He was fast as a deer, strong as a bear, and cunning as a panther. He was a perfect blend of both worlds. He was a favorite of all the animals, a child of the jungle. But Shere Khan's hatred had not faded. The tiger, filled with a bitter jealousy, watched from the shadows. He saw Mowgli save a young cub from a human trap, and his hatred grew even deeper. He knew he could not defeat Mowgli alone. So, he went to the most dangerous and unpredictable creatures in the jungle. The monkeys, the bandalog. He whispered a terrible lie into their ears. "If Mowgli teaches you everything he knows, you will become the wisest animals in the jungle." The monkeys, always looking for an easy path to power, believed him. One evening, as Mowgli was building a shelter from a storm, the monkeys crept up on him. They grabbed him, their chattering a wild, panicked song, and carried him away into the heart of the jungle. Mowgli, a wild, helpless knot of panic, found himself in a cold, dark cave surrounded by hundreds of chattering monkeys. His heart hammered in his chest. But his mind, which Baloo had taught him to be calm, was already working. He looked up and saw Chill, a vulture, flying high above. He took a deep breath and, remembering the magic words Baloo had taught him for times of great danger, he shouted, "We are the same blood, you and I," he cried. Chill, hearing the sacred words, knew immediately that his brother was in trouble. He flew straight to Baloo and Bagheera and delivered the message. Baloo and Bagheera, hearing the terrible news, knew they could not defeat the monkeys alone. So they went to a great deep cave where Kaa, the giant snake, lived. Kaa, a powerful and feared creature, was a friend to both of them. He was old and he was wise, and he was the only creature the monkeys truly feared. They all went to the monkeys' town, a city of old, crumbling human ruins. The monkeys were chattering and playing, holding Mowgli prisoner in a tower. Baloo and Bagheera with Kaa waited for the right moment. "Now is the time," Kaa said, his voice a slow, ancient hiss. Bagheera, a shadow in the night, silently moved to the monkeys. He punched and clawed, a fierce, protective warrior fighting for his son. The monkeys, screaming in terror, scattered. But they were many. They swarmed Bagheera, overwhelming him. "Run, Bagheera, run to the water, they are afraid of water," Mowgli cried from the tower. Bagheera, hearing the command, ran and jumped into the water, a safe place from the monkeys. But Baloo was still fighting. He was surrounded, his great body swaying with exhaustion, a roar of defiance in his throat. And then, Kaa, the great snake, appeared. With a swing of his powerful tail, he sent the monkeys flying in every direction. With a single, slow, hypnotic gaze, he opened his mouth, and the monkeys, terrified and frozen with fear, went completely silent. Bagheera, seeing the chaos, jumped out of the water. "Mowgli, where are you?" "I am here. I'm trapped in the tower," Mowgli cried. Kaa, with a final mighty swing of his tail, broke down the walls of the tower. Mowgli ran to his friends and hugged them, tears of relief and love streaming down his face. "You all risked your lives to save me. I am so grateful," he cried. Years passed, and Mowgli grew into a young man. He was a hero of the jungle, a child of both the human and animal worlds. Shere Khan, a coward at heart, knew he could never harm a boy with such powerful friends. He retreated into the shadows of the jungle, never to return. One day, Mowgli wandered to the edge of the jungle where the human village stood. He saw a woman, a kind and gentle woman, who saw him and cried out, "My son!" She hugged him, her face filled with a love so deep and so old it seemed to have been waiting for him his whole life. She was his mother, and the little boy by her side was his brother. Baloo, Bagheera and Kaa watched from the shadows, their hearts filled with a mix of pride and sorrow. Mowgli had found his true family, his human family. "From now on, you'll be next to your family, Mowgli," Baloo rumbled. "But whenever you need us, you know the magic words. You are our brother. Don't forget how much we love you." Mowgli, a young man with a full heart, hugged his human mother and brother. But his eyes, filled with tears, were on the jungle. He had a family of wolves, a brother of a bear, and a friend in a panther and a snake. He had found his place in the human world, but he would never, ever forget the jungle, the home, and the family that had raised him with such a great and unconditional love.
Wonder murmur, the story departs, yet the whisper imparts.